Well, hello, welcome to Heather and Hops. My name is Kat, or Catherine, and I'm a knitter based in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. This is my little space where I've documented my knitting journey from my very first project through to now, where I knit and spin. And when I started, the kind of goal was to cultivate community, which is, I feel like, what's happened. But going forward, I want to help instigate that a bit more and help bring people together, and not to me necessarily either. Like, I just want to continue cultivating that sense of togetherness and putting people in touch with one another and things. I don't know. It's been a while, like a real while. I recorded last week, but those of you that are new, welcome. I don't always start like this. The previous bit I tend to do, it just puts me in the mindset, but I started because I got unwell and I couldn't do anything apart from knit, which is a wonderful skill to learn if you're not a knitter and you're here. It's definitely one to try, and it's not for everyone. But I get unwell every now and then. I'm much better these days, like 3.5 years on, but I had a flare-up last week. I didn't edit the video and it was chaos anyway. This will be chaos anyway. But hopefully gentle chaos is what we shoot for here. Thank you if you've been here and been patient with me. I am not convinced that every 2 weeks works. Even when I'm very unwell, I do. Doorman, postman, that's the one. I don't know, Alex got what I'm hoping is a treasure map. So yeah, I got unwell, I couldn't do anything, I spent most of the time in bed, but when I recorded I realised how much I had to share. So I think weekly makes sense because I can compartmentalise, and whether I have a week off, and I really want to do different type of videos, so not just this is what I've made, more how I've made it in a slower, more in-depth look. So if I need a week off to like film those things, I think that would be more beneficial than just, So yeah, basically, I think things are moving in quite a nice direction still, and yeah, lovely girl Yannicka, who's one of my favourite knitting people, sorry to call you out by name, but she was listening to a podcast and shared with me the concept of spiritual sustainability, and I often think about life in, it feels like you can have time, money and health, and they're not the only factors in life, but generally you can only pick two. Some people are lucky and they can have all three, but for me, health and time is what I generally have, but what I strive for more. This is really tangential, but health for me is one of the most important, and that includes being creative. If I'm not creative, if I'm not outdoors. So I'm hoping that with the way that this is moving, I will get to be even more creative than I have been, and hopefully make myself in a position where I'm not getting burnt out. And those creative things might be slightly different. Like, I'd really like to try a few other skills. I always watch lovely Marina of Marina Skewer podcast, who I highly recommend watching because, well, actually she's away at the moment, but when she comes back, 10 out of 10 watch and catch up while she's away. But always breaks things down and tries new skills, and weaving, basket weaving would be awesome, but also just upgrading and improving things that I already have. So whether that's learning to kind of adjust trousers, whether that's learning to paint and tile this huge, not the most beautiful coffee table in front of me. But yeah, all that to say, I want to continue moving forward, changing things up a little bit, and just, yeah. Hi! I have a bottle of water with me today rather than a hot drink. I decided that I would get out in the sun while it was sunny this morning So I just went for a little walk to the park, and I came home, had my breakfast and a matcha. So I haven't had a matcha for a little while, but apart from at the weekend, I feel like just while my body's in recovery and still not quite at baseline, I wanted a lift so that I was maybe a little bit more up and hey, to share, but I didn't want the crash and the anxiety maybe that coffee gives me. I'm sensible with it. I'm good with my body. I 10 out of 10 recommend anyone to listen to their body because it usually knows best. All that to say, I've got water. I hope you have something to keep you company, whether that's knitting, a friend, a hot drink, some snacks, sewing, I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about knitting. Today I am wearing some hand knit socks that I'm not going to share because, well, I'm not. They're just improvised socks and there's not much to share on them. But I'm wearing this is my Cala Galdana top. I'm gonna make noise, stand up. This was a top that I designed for myself while we were in Cala Galdana. And it's one of my favourite things in the summer. I just really like the deep, breathy space that it provides. I would quite like to do a version that kind of has straps. I'm not sure, more so than just the halter. I really like the halter personally, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a little cami version. And I knitted this using, this is my own colourway, this is Sunshine Type, which is a nod to a band called Turnover, who I highly recommend. Started off fairly emo and then transitioned as, and you can hear how, especially in the lyrics and the gentleness, you know, they've grown up and they've found yoga, and it's just really, Peripheral Vision and Supernatural are two of the most albums, like, I think I listened to them more than a lot of bands in the short amount of time that I discovered them. So yeah, Sunshine Type by Turnover, really good for the changing of the seasons and the summer. And yeah. I have some finished objects. I do. I don't know where to begin. Let's go with this one, because one of the projects I have, one finished and one in progress, and they're not socks. It's a big thing. So this is some gorgeous yarn that my lovely Beat the January Blues box swap sent me. So this was sent before we did a swap, but back in January and February we organised a little swap in our Discord group. So within our Discord group there is a smaller unit called the Fellowship of the Stitch, and there's just about 40 of us, and it's just a bit smaller. It's people that have supported me through Ko-Fi, and I just wanted to kind of put people in touch, but also give us something to look forward to, as I find February quite hard. I know most people do. It's dark, and it's just something to look forward to. So we organised the swap, and my box that I sent has just been returned to me last week, so I am actually going through that today, and so that'll be Monday, and I'm gonna re-seasonalise it because the difference between now and back then is quite huge. But my lovely swappy sent me this a long time ago now, and it's gorgeous, and it is from I'll say the Oslo Micro Spinnery, but that's because if I try and pronounce it Micro Spinnery, it's probably the same, similar anyway. And this is Summer Garn, which was a collaboration yarn, I believe, and I don't know that it's available anymore, which is a bit of a shame because, oh my goodness, it's lovely. I'll hold it up. Yeah. Hello. So this is 50% wool, 25% silk and 25% linen, and it is a gorgeous summer yarn, and I'm really hoping that I have enough to knit a bralette of sorts. I'm not sure, but I think I will. I think I'll be able to eke one out, even if it's a little bit, you know, I think I'll eke one out, and if not, if I have to add a little bit of contrast, that's fine. But what I used it for was another My Little Secret Crop. Now, I always get these confused, like most of us. So Jessie May is a wonderful designer that covers lots of sizes, and within her pattern almost always gives loads of model options and loads of information on how to make it fit you and how to adjust it, which I really, really love. But this one, My Little Secret Crop, which actually does look ridiculous not on the body, this one, to me, there's a secret crop, a summer crop, which is not ribbed, and it's just not my favourite. Other people will think differently, but for me this is more practical. This one's always fitted me better. I've had less issues with getting gauge. I just think it's a really, really, really practical top, to the point that I've knitted, I think this is my 8th one. I've knitted quite a few for other people, but this is my first one in a proper summery yarn. So I'm very excited to wear it for the first time. I haven't blocked it. I'm not going to block it or wash it until after I've worn it. Doesn't really need it. It will just go on my body and hug my body. It was a real dream to knit, and it knitted up super quickly. It's a DK weight yarn, DK weight pattern. I think I use a recommended needle size and get a really nice fabric generally. I really like it. I don't swatch for these just because I'm quite confident in what I'm doing with them. I might do another summer top for myself. Another one of these is a summer version with some other summer yarn that I have, just because if I'm not wearing something like this, I'm probably wearing this. I wear them all the time. I wear them under t-shirts, I wear them over tops. I wear one of these most days instead of underwear. There you go. It's just what I do. They're brilliant for me. Super comfortable, and I'm very excited to have one that isn't 100% wool for the summer, I'm not gonna lie. So we'll see how this wears. I think it's going to be great, and I do think knitting a little bralette, I think there's 123 metres for the 50 grams, and I have some left from knitting this, so I think I'll be able to eke one out. And as I say, I wear these almost every day, so if you are looking for a nice little project to try and dabble into summer knits, I think this is quite a good one. It's fairly small. If you've also previously only knitted hats or cows, this is it's not difficult. I say this about most knitting. You just take each step as it comes, and like Google if you need to, use YouTube if you need to, ask. We have a lovely Discord group, and I might create a thread for maybe support or help, because I get emails, and that's fine, but there's 400 or so knitters in our group and a wealth of knowledge, and those that know different things to each other, so I might open that. But I think this is a good one to start to learn, because you do a simple cast on some ribbing, you change the kind of ribbing, and then you're decreasing after binding off. That's all you're doing. You're decreasing and to do the shaping. You do a bit more ribbing, and then a double I-cord, which is something very easy to do, and looks lovely, and it's not the least stretchy thing. Like, it has stretch, but it does provide a really lovely finish, I think. So yeah, great little project, and really quick. I'm gonna try and, rather than get through everything, I'm gonna try and just keep hopefully I was a bit slower than normal, slowing down and go into a little bit more than I might usually about things. So it might be that I don't talk about everything that I've got in front of me, and then you won't know, but you will know. Hopefully just share things next week so that I'm not, you know, I don't want this to be a 2.5 hour thing. We're not doing Critical Role here. I'm not giving you a great story. Let's go to Pom Pom magazine, but we'll do one before the other, because I have a half finished object, and here it is, and it looks way more sensible on a sock blocker. I will take it off and show you how ridiculous it looks not on it. And these are the Ciriform socks. Goodness, sorry. Yeah, so I knit the Reverie socks from Pom Pom, and as soon as I finished I had sort of sock knitting itis maybe, and I cast this on. I did most of this to pattern. I started to increase quicker when I got to here, because I quite like free toes, as in like I don't want my toes to feel squished, and while ribbing stretchy, when I saw this I've knitted quite a few pairs of socks, not loads, but I knew that it wasn't increasing as much as I'd like it to, so I just doubled the rate of increase from quite early on, just to speed it up, which is why mine looks a little bit funky compared to others. And then I kind of just played with the colour changes, so I'm using a gorgeous yarn from Kelsey of Knitting Nikabi. This is dyed with madder and a one-of-a-kind colour on the Corriedale and Mohair base. Dreams. It's a really gorgeous yarn. We did a little Christmas, well, it wasn't a Christmas swap. I say that just because it was in December. We did a swap and it was really, really fun to do, and very exciting to get a letter written to my D&D character. Just saying, wowzer. I would love to organise a D&D character pen pal swap. I think that would be really fun. Could we do that? We could do that. Yeah. So, and this is what I used for my Reverie, my last pair of socks I knitted. And I have a feeling that I'm going to get another pair of socks out of this yarn. Which is probably why it's quite nice to do contrasts, and I like a shorter sock anyway. But the rest of this is knitted using Mohair. And all I've done is I've broken from pattern again and I've held Mohair double. I just felt like that fabric would be nicer for me, and I'm very happy with it. I tried this on, and the difference between the heel and the toe and then the Mohair, you can feel it, and it's kind of like, I don't know, a hugging massage type thing. It's lovely. It's lovely. Poppers. I didn't want to burst your eardrums. So this is Rust by Drops. This is Rust by La Bien-Aimée. How different are these two colours? But both lovely. And then I don't have any of the scrap arts here. So I really am using just tiny bits of this. Is Sage Green, Drops Mohair. And I can't remember what the other one is, so it's just another kind of variegated yarn. The rest of the yarn is not with me because this was ready to just go on an adventure. And this one will stay here. The only other thing I did was did the heel as just a simple short row garter stitch heel rather than I think it's a twin stitch short row heel that was recommended. I used German short rows just because we were watching television, and I truly believe in doing what's right. And if you are worried about having to stick to it. Most designers are stoked to see someone modify it, and I was having a really lovely conversation with Harper, who is amazing. If you don't know who Harper is, Harper goes as Discerning Designs. I have to apologise, my brain. But Harper's designs are amazing. Harper's colour work, I know, Harper, your textures and things are beautiful too, but the colourwork designs are jaw-dropping. I recently did a test knit. I say recently, time's going, isn't it? Time is a weird soup. I did a test knit for the Raven Light gloves, and they are so gorgeous. So gorgeous. I think I want to knit another pair. Well, I do for gifts, so I might start that while it's still a bit chilly. But we were having a kind of, I posted on Instagram and I mentioned that I don't feel like a designer. I might have designed things and shared them, but I definitely don't feel like a designer. And we ended up talking, and I was like, and we kind of came to the conclusion together that we're more like game masters, where we're creating a story for ourselves because we either don't see it or we're just inspired, and then other knitters are coming in as players and taking that story into different directions that suits them and they're playing. And it was really nice to think of it that way. So I hope that you can, maybe, if you've been nervous to modify or you feel like you shouldn't, I hope this kind of makes you go, yeah, you can. And if you did already, cheer out, shout out, because I just think it's wonderful. We make things how we want them and what fits our mood and our brain space. So I think I know the stitch that was being suggested, but I love the German short row, so I just did it. I didn't want to double check, I didn't want to think about anything, and at the end of the day I really like it. I really like a garter stitch heel. I like to mix things up. So yeah, do what you like, make it your own. And I did it fairly short, but still long enough that I haven't woven in ends. I'm not that person. That I can have it folded over, and I think these will be really cute with both clogs, my docks, or even my Vans. So yeah, really happy with them. And this pom-pom magazine is easily my favourite pom-pom that I've it's just the best of the 40 for me. It fits my knitting dreams beautifully. Must drink some water. In fact, I'm gonna, so these are big long metal knitting needles that I cut off a while back. But they work fabulously as hair sticks. This is not the best, but quite frankly, this is a space of non-judgment. Here you go. Oh, just out of my face. You can see the neckline better now. Yeah, we're a space of no judgment here. If I look like a chaos demon, we don't judge. We don't judge one another. We support one another. And let's talk about this one, because this is the pom-pom magazine in question. I've referred to it a couple of times. This is book 40, episode 40, number 40, and it's spring 2022. I'll show you these are the Ciriform socks, sort of sample pictures, so you can see how mine are quite different. But the other item that I just finished, and this is the cloud bow, and this was the drawing, like the final straw in me going, right, I really want to purchase this. I know I'm going to use it, and I have. So I've already knitted 2 pairs of socks, finished on dress, and got one good away into a second. So this is by Reed Keys. It is a really gorgeous pattern, designed to use up odds and ends that you have. So a mohair strand or a lace weight strand of yarn held with various things throughout. I had this book for a little while before I finally braved casting on, and what I realised is I was really apprehensive about playing with colour. I'm not adverse to colour and I'm not adverse to stripes, but something about the colour choices that I had weren't quite, I don't know, something wasn't making them mesh. So after backing and forthing, I finally settled on using this, which is I think dark blue-green. Yep, by Bûches, the Petit silk as opposed to the big. So they do like a lace weight, and I think they do almost a DK weight mohair, which would be great, I think, as an alternative for this. And I had five balls in total, and I have this much left after finishing my dress. It doesn't look like there's any variation in colours, so I didn't have to helix, so I didn't have to change yarn each row to try and mesh things together. I just cast on in the tornado way that I do. It's really nice mohair. It's quality wise, I don't notice, and this is just being transparent, I don't notice the difference between the drops and this, for example. I wonder if there really is. Like, I would like to know. I mean, I would like to support Biches more because of just being a smaller company, or seemingly smaller. But for affordability, drops is nuts, and makes knitting a bit more accessible when you are out of work for a long time. So anyway, I made a few modifications to this to knit the dress. And try and hold it up, it might be difficult to share. So let's do this usual kind of cuddly situation. You knit a square or a rectangle for both the front and back, and then you're picking up stitches along here. So along each side, up the first square and then down the second square for the sleeves, and then you start knitting outwards for a little bit, and then you join in the round to finish the sleeves. So you're working 2 blocks, picking up over the shoulders, knitting outwards, and then joining in the round for the sleeves. And then you pick up around the base of the squares and the sleeves to knit the skirt. So it's a really easy construction, really simple. Again, if you are, looking into moving into the garment world, having not knitted garments before, this is also a great option. It's got picking up stitches, increases. Not all the increases are necessarily needed. You can omit them, like I have. Like I'll show you. There's some ribbing if you want to rib or stockinette. I think I opted to modify that, so rather than doing, I think it's stockinette that's folded over for the hem, collar and cuffs, I opted to do an I-cord, and I held some black drops mohair together with a almost black colour that I dyed on a BFL base. So it's just a fingering weight yarn and a lace weight yarn held together, and I did an I-cord. I think it was a 5-stitch I-cord for this and a 4-stitch for the sleeves. I opted to do the sleeves fairly short, but maybe a bit longer than I initially intended. Totally fine. Very wearable. And I did a below the knee skirt, but I didn't do the ruffle on the bottom. So in the pattern, 6 inches before you want the pattern to finish, you do a set of increases. I just didn't fancy it. This version, I wanted it to be a really simple, easy to throw on item, and actually I could put this over what I'm wearing now and it would be a look. It would be a vibe. But yeah, so far this has been great. It's super lightweight, like I said. These are 25 grams, I think. Yes. So 25, 75, call it 80, 82 grams maybe. Wow, of yarn for a dress, and it's a loose gauge, but for me it's perfect. My body temperature. Oh, we have been blessed. Hey you. This is little Audrey, who's been asleep all morning. Oh, you can't do that, love. You're the chaos demon, aren't you, today? Mohair. But super lightweight. I've worn it out quite a lot. I've been wearing it with my I called it my little rebel dress, which is not a pattern, it's a recipe kind of thing. So it guides you on how to knit your own on Ko-Fi. So it's a dress that I knitted for the summer, and it was a rebel dress because I used alpaca, which isn't the most sensible summer yarn. But I love it, and the combination of the two is great because double knitwear, triple knitwear if I'm wearing a bralette, just all the knitted layers, but it's super light. So Audrey, I'll let the cat out. She's a tinker. So it was super lightweight to wear, to put in my bag as well as just wear. And then we were sat outside with some friends when I first finished this, and we ended up sitting in the garden for hours. So it went from, during the heat wave, like 20 degrees in the day down to maybe 5 or 6 degrees. I was wearing my little rebel dress and this. I didn't have any other layers with me because I didn't anticipate being out that long. And whilst I wasn't warm, I did have a cardigan. I had my Icelandic cardigan, I'll say that. So I wasn't completely underprepared, but I wasn't prepared for 5-degree temperatures. I was totally fine. I wasn't like shivering. So this was good for the amount of weight and everything. I think a long sleeved one for the winter is going to happen. I didn't anticipate it, and I did say after I cast this on, I was like, I don't need another one, and I probably don't. But what I would like to do is, again, move things out of my wardrobe that I'm either wearing because I don't have anything else that's more suited to me, my lifestyle, or is just a lower quality version of something that I would like, that I've picked up in a charity shop or tried to make, you know? So this is wonderful, and I can't sing its praises enough, and how easy it is to modify. I think I knitted the second size. I'm a rectangle body and I'm fairly small. I'm 5'4". So I knitted the second size. I adjusted the length accordingly. I also adjusted how much I knitted out. I didn't knit out as much from the underarm, or to the underarm as recommended, and I could easily have modified it to be smaller, and I could knit the smaller size, but I'm very happy with the ease that I've got on this, and I'm very excited to wear it again, if I'm honest. It's been through the wash, well, not through the washing machine, it's been through my hand washing process once already. I don't have fear of it growing anymore yet. It seemed to not, it grew a little bit, but not as much as I thought, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere else now. It seems like it's reached its openness. So yeah, really lovely, really enjoyed knitting this. So much room for modification. Just the top itself is gorgeous. And I was talking to my friend Becky last night, and I mean it doesn't sit with what I wear particularly, but I would love to either see it on someone or to do it. I'll probably see it on someone. Is the cloud bow top, the big sleeves and the little peplum with a little vest on top. I feel like that would be so nice. And if I had a reason to like do slightly officey or slightly elven hobbit vibes, You don't need a reason for that. I would do that. But yeah, really happy with this. Truly a great, like, for me, a great investment piece, because whilst it's a bit pricey, you know, 3.5 balls of mohair is not cheap, but it's not anymore, you know, even buying the fabric to make a dress of a decent quality would cost me that. So hours of fun, and I loves it. So I'll show you the next version, because it would be rude not to, and we may as well. So this is a whip, and in here I'll show you the yarn that I've got. So this is the full skein, and this is the Catherine colour by Back to Blighty. Becky dyed this for me, so I sent her an email a while back and asked specifically for this colour, because I'm not a... I quite like to dye these tones, and Becky's amazing at getting delicate, dreamy tones and beautiful, semi-solid, almost solid tonals. So Becky dyed this for me, and it was the yarn that I used for my wedding top, and I have an idea for this yarn, and I just haven't had the time to do it yet. But I had quite a bit left from my wedding top and other projects that I've used this for, including reinforcing the heels of no nylon socks. So there's this one, which is an alpaca silk lace weight. There's this, which was alpaca, I think it was about 300 meters, so sort of a sport weight Suri alpaca base, and I think this is the rose, antique rose colourway from Triska Lion Yarns. I won't go through everything, but the ones that I know off the top of my head. And these two are dreamy colours from Anita's Homestead. River's Instagram is just one of the most gentle places on earth. I recommend it if you need a little brain hug. And the off-white silvery grey is Fog, and this one is Rose Tea. And then I've got an ash grey drops alpaca, and then this one was Dinah's Home of Crafts juniper, and this is a mohair but with nylon, which I didn't really like the feel of it next to skin. I don't know, there was something about the nylon. So what I hoped was by holding the dreamy alpaca silk or another mohair with it, it would soften it up, and it's absolutely done that. It's been amazing. So this is kind of the palette, and these are quite me colours. Like, I'm quite drawn to green, makes me feel incredibly calm, and pink does too. It just does. Growing up, I was against pink. Like, you can ask my mum. We were not pink kids. Neither me or my sister. She was always blue, I was always green. And if it was any other way, it'd be wrong. And it was always, I'd go for the left, my sister would go for the right. I'm left-handed, my sister's right-handed. We were the most predictable kids on the planet, for the better part. Sometimes not. So I'm so happy with this so far. The idea being that I can wear it to, I think we've got 2 weddings and like a wedding evening. The evening I'll probably wear my black velvet dress because it's just my favourite. But I didn't really want to wear black velvet to more weddings. It's very exciting to go to a wedding, and I don't think it's disrespectful to wear black at all. But I did want something slightly different, and I didn't want to really be wearing my wedding outfit, which would have been my other choice, but that feels a bit too. So I decided to knit myself something, and here it is so far. So this is my second version of the cloud bow dress. I've gone short sleeved again because it's quite warm. I'm going to go just below the knee, I think, with the length, or maybe just above. I haven't quite decided yet. I've got a dress that I might wear under it, and if I don't wear that dress, I will likely wear this. So I have a skirt in mind. So what I'm going to do is put the skirt on and try this on fairly soon for an idea. And I've done similar modifications, so I'm knitting the second size. I knit the panels back and forth as suggested. The only thing I modified was the I-cord again, and I knit out a little bit less than recommended again. I could have gone even less, I think, with this one, but I'm still happy with it. I have tried it on already. And the I-cord for the sleeves, I did 3 strands held together and I think a 4-stitch bind off or a 3-stitch bind off. But for the collar I've gone slightly bigger and I used I think 4 or 5 strands. I just wanted it to, I don't know, I couldn't decide on the colour, so I wanted this to be mild. I wanted it to be heavily not one colour against my neck. And I'm happy with that. So rather than doing, so for the colour placement, I have been quite, not strict, but I haven't knitted this in the evenings. I've only been knitting this in the daylight where I can see it. I've been holding 2 strands of yarn throughout and then swapping one at a time to give a more fade. I didn't want it to be such solid lines, and it is probably reading quite solid, but it does sort of mesh. I'll hold it. Kind of blends a little bit more gently than, and I wanted it to be fairly balanced without looking too bad, like in 2 like set stripes. So I've made it up entirely as I've gone on and just really tried to be there and do it in daylight and not just get carried away. So I have been very good. I think I did a few rounds. I did do a few rounds last night while we were playing D&D, just for clarity, but I knew that I wanted 3 rounds of this combination, so I knitted that and then put it down. So I've been very good at doing that, and I'm really happy. I think again, scared the crap out. What are you doing, huh? Oh, so in that time, she has been, little Audrey's been just laying in the sun. She's got one really warm side of her face. So yeah, I think there's so many fun things you could do with this. In completely block striping it, being really playful with colours, using up bits that you had. Like, I wouldn't say most of these are scraps. This is veering towards it, but that's still not a scrap to me. Like, there's a lot you can do just in sneaking some colour work in and making, you know, so I think this pattern is a really good way of using up really odd bits if you wanted to do something really clever, or not crazy, it's the wrong phrase, but by using one strand of the same colour throughout, you could get away with using so many colours and it still looking beautifully cohesive, or doing something completely not and doing like the front and back in 2 separate block colours and then knitting out in 2 block colours for the sleeves. And there's just a lot of fun things you could do with this to make it truly your own. I quite like the fabric held double. It does seem a little bit more structured, a little bit less drapey, but equally just as gorgeous. It's a bit like a, I don't know, it's been like a little spring meadow or a wildflower meadow or something to me, this combination, and I'm here for it. Unlike you, who are a tinker, aren't you? What are you doing? She says, I'm highly distracting. Yes, you are. So yeah, I'm excited to wear this one too. Actually, I think that a lot of my pre-existing summer wardrobe will wear nicely under this, and I'm not convinced now that layering these 2 will work, but it might. I had intended on being able to maybe layer them, and maybe it's the other way around with the dark one underneath, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, one up here. I think I've still got so much to talk about, you know. I think I'll finish with just a few. I'll share the fibre that I'm spinning at the moment. I'll share an item that I'm going to give away. And this is, I'll go through this quickly just because I haven't been here and I haven't really had time to share. But I released my unarmoured defence cowl, which looks a little bit silly, not on a person, but it is what it is. And it is a pattern that I designed, again, just for practicability, to make items more practical. And I talk about needing to layer and getting too warm, getting too cold quite often. And this is just something that's been really, really practical for my wardrobe. There's lots of different, I'm sure there's different versions out there, and there is, but you know when you get carried away, and I just loved this texture. So I designed it for myself. So I try and get it on over my chopsticks. So it's a little cowl bib collar thing that has buttons and a little loops at the sides, so you can put it under or over things and it will just sit. There's 3 different sizes for a start. This is the smallest one, but if you have a much larger chest, you could either completely omit the straps, the button and the loop, or just knit the I-cord on both edge and then tie it together. That gives you much more room for opening and options for maybe just doing 2 and tie it crossing over and having it really long, or just 2 little ties at the sides. Lots of options for adjustments on this. The idea being that you can fold it 3 times like this, or just in half, for a slightly more cozy vibe. But I wear this under my dresses, over my long sleeve knitted tops with cardigans, all sorts. Sadly my Plitalopi one went in the wash, so it's felted. It still actually fits me fine. It's snug, but it fits me fine and is probably even warmer than it was. But this one's going to a dear friend. This one was knitted using Cheviot Marsh, DK and Hedgeberry, and I love it. I really would like to keep it, especially since this fits me, but I think it's perfect for this friend's wardrobe and I can knit another one. But if you're a D&D nerd, this was the name was suggested by a lovely knitter who also tested it, which was amazing. And it comes from the sort of the monk ability and the feet unarmoured defence, where you're defended from the cold but with very little yarn. So this used 2 skeins of DK weight yarn for that amount of warmth it adds. I'm just very proud of myself. I'm not normally proud of myself, and it has been really lovely seeing different versions of this. You've just come in! They're like a yo-yo. Different versions of this knitted. I'm gonna let the cat out, which means I think the talk on that's done. But it's on Ravelry, it's on Ko-Fi, and I know I say Ko-Fi, not coffee, but I really like lo-fi music, so it just stuck very quickly as lo-fi and Ko-Fi, not lo-fi and coffee. And finally, before I share my fibre, I wanted to share this, and the lovely organisers behind the Perth Festival of Yarn sent me this skein of yarn. Not for me, but for one of you. This is Eva's Lippy by Dye Ninja, and this is the Corridale 50% British Mohair base. Approximately 395 metres, 100 grams, and this is special because there was only 50 of these dyed. I think it's Sheila behind Dye Ninja is retired or retiring, and the organisers of the Perth Festival of Yarn did a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous thing and sent some of this yarn to Woolly Originals, who does gorgeous machine knit bags and purses. I actually use a Woolly Originals purse every day because it also fits little minis of things in it too. Got it here, I'll show you. Here's my one that Alex bought for me, but it fits loads in it. I've got a little mini oil perfume that's running out that I love, but the maker no longer makes. But it's really cute. But they turned some of her yarn, her special yarn that she had sent them, into a beautiful bag. So all that to say, I'm very grateful that I've been sent this to then pass forward. It makes me feel happy that I get to brighten someone's day, but it's also nice that I've been supported to do so. So thank you for Perth Festival of Yarn. I hope to get there this year. We'll see. I think it coincides with quite a busy month this year because of weddings, which is always exciting. But yeah, I think all I would like to do is just read nice stories. So what was the nicest thing that you've ever made for someone? And that could be the nicest thing you've made for yourself. It could be food, it could be a knitted product, it could be anything, and it could be for someone else. Maybe you spent time to make someone a big birthday celebration. I think one of my most beautiful gifts that I've been made was the blanket I received from my aunt, which you can see here, for my 30th birthday, my picker that my dad made for me for Christmas, like just beautiful, thoughtful things. And like that blanket when I've been unwell has been such a blessing. And then the picker, just making my life so much more joyful when it comes to playing with fibre. So what are the things that you've, like your favourite things you've made? And like I said, it could be for yourself, because sometimes you need to make something for yourself and love yourself and show yourself care. So yeah, that one. I'm very excited. I am going to say that I will pull a comment, so I will use a random generator, but I am going to read them all because I do really like these kind of stories. If you put it down below and then in the comments share your story, I'll just use a random generator to pick one, and then I will aim to do that for the first episode in May. So I'll give a little while on this one because it is special, and hopefully you give others a time to ponder, to think about what the thing they made is that was the most special. And then I'm not going to show you, I'll go and film it once I've done, so I'll put some footage of the bobbin. But I am spinning up this gorgeous yarn that I have covered in my own hair and Audrey's hair. This gorgeous yarn from Nellie and Eve, and this was actually sent to me from Becky of Black to Blighty, who sent me a message saying I've got some fibre that I'm never going to use. Just when I started spinning, I've not been spinning very long. I really love it, but sadly I got tendinitis in my leg for a little while, and I'm quite good at knowing to stop and being able to stop now. So I hadn't done spinning on my wheel for a while, and this was on there. I picked it back up again and I'm really enjoying it. This is BFL, we'll double check. It's 100% British wool, and 100% BFL, I was right. Thank you, Kat. Plant dyed wool tops inspired by the landscape of a Welsh mountain, hand dyed in West Wales, UK. Apple blossom. And Nellie and Eva's beautiful, beautiful yarn. I've never got to use it before, so just being sent this and being able to use it is such a treat. It really is. I do not underestimate I couldn't be more thankful for the sort of support and generosity of the community we have here. I'm really enjoying it. I initially started spinning it and it was quite not chunky, but it probably would have come out as a DK weight if I applied it. I've definitely gone finer, and I think what I'm going to do now is turn it into a 3-ply. It's not super fine. I think it'll still come out of maybe a sport weight or a light DK, maybe heavy fingering, that kind of region of the fibre. And I think it'll be nice to keep the colours more together rather than having such a difference. And I really want to practice chain plying. So that's my thought process on it. It's been really lovely to spin from a bat that's beautifully carded and so different to the Jacob that I carded and on hand carders myself and dyed with Alex. It's so much more, it's a lot smoother, and I have to catch myself because I keep every now and then sort of drifting off and not paying full attention and then having to come back to it. So it's a lot more relaxing and easier to just get lost in almost. So it's been lovely. I'm really enjoying the colours, which yellow's not really, this is sort of mustard gold, I don't know, not something that I usually am that drawn to, but it's lovely. And I do have some yellow yarns that I've had for a while that I've been not sure what to do, and I think this might unlock them, if that makes sense. So it's quite exciting too. I love it when things like that happen and things just come together, like almost like this. Like, I would never really have put those colours together, but they were just in my, well, I would have, but you know, not out of, it wouldn't have been my instant go-to, if you know what I mean. It wouldn't have been, oh yeah, I know what, I want to do something that looks like this. I actually had to look in my little tub of mohair and go, oh actually yeah, these are quite cool. So I like it when those things happen and happen organically. So yeah, that's what I've been up to really. I've got quite a bit. I think it's been announced that I've got a pattern going into a real magazine, which is terrifying and exciting all at the same time. And it's going into the Scottish Journal of Yarn. And I'm going to double check that it's definitely up there. The Journal of Scottish Yarns. And it is on there, and actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the designs have now been announced with pictures, and the pictures are really wonderfully fun. The creator, Susan, is wonderful. I met Susan on a knitting retreat at Whistlebear, and yeah, I'm really hoping that I can get Susan on to just sit and have a little chat about it, because if you've been here for a while, you know that I have kind of a deep love for Scotland and natural yarns. So Scottish yarns kind of speaks to me in quite a big way. So it was a real treat to not only get to design for it, but to be connected and a part of it from sort of project one. So yeah, that's fun. And I'm not going to tell you, but I can't wait to talk about the design. Only because I'm not allowed. Otherwise I would, you know? Anyway, I really hope you're well. I've been pondering community lately. I think having a week in bed alone makes you really aware, and I was very grateful that people reached out and were checking in and like, where have you been? I'm like, chaos. We've had quite a lot of change here, from housemate moving in, which is throwing a real kind of, it's not bad, I don't want, it's thrown a spanner in the works, that's all. And just like everything that's not bad, you just kind of have to like readjust and re-find your flow. And obviously I work from home, so having the house so that's been interesting. I've been unwell. We've done a few really fun things. I went to see Less Than Jake, which is one of my favourites. Like really one of my favourites. And I went to see them for the first time, like quite far from London, so in Newcastle rather than down here. And that was really special because I have to say, Les and Jake shows are always fun and have always been fun, but the difference in like community there just seems so different. Everyone, and even if someone, so obviously I got carried away and it went from no, we're just gonna stand to okay, we're dancing. So even if someone gave you like a look, and it might be because my perceptions adjusted quite dramatically in the last few years, but as long as you smile, they were like, yeah, we'll dance and sing together. And I was like, oh, it's so nice to be part of that. So yeah, community's been something that I'm thinking about a lot, and actually I have done quite a bit of reading this year and I haven't really spoken about it. I finished The Witch's Heart months ago. I did really enjoy that, so that's something that if you're looking for a twist on Norse mythology, is it Norse? It was so long ago now, that's really bad. But it's a really good book. I really enjoyed it. But I've just picked this one up, and I think, having been thinking about what community is and the pros and the cons, this has been good. I went to the library having returned Critical Role Talk. I returned Jester Lavore, who is a character from Critical Role, which is a series where people play Dungeons and Dragons, and they're very talented, and it's the best storytelling. It's the best storytelling with a lot of good heart and soul. And I just took her Jester's Origins graphic novel back to the library, and I was looking at the fantasy section for a little bit more adventure, and I felt like I just wanted something a bit more, I don't know, just grounding, I guess, and something that made me think in a different way for a little bit. So I got this. I'm not very far into it. I'm 2.5 chapters in. It's been very interesting, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing where it goes in the recommendations. And it is, I've been talking about like connecting and connections so much for so long, and it's been a big part of my healing journey, I guess. But this has been quite good. Quite shocking in parts, some of the statistics, but quite wonderful in some of the multi-sided view of community and politics. And I'm not a political person, and that's not because I don't have views, it's because I am not articulate. I love to share and to talk, and I try and consider what I say. But I also feel like I absorb so many different perspectives on one thing, because I feel like everything is connected, and whether you believe that or not, up to you fully. But I believe that it is, and it just becomes very overwhelming to think of, I don't know, I was talking about charity shops and how they are, you know, it's great in a way because it gives back and gives to others and gives people a chance to reuse and gives people a more affordable way of purchasing, but actually as well it's also perpetuates other problems and sustainability. So for me, yeah, this has just been very good. I am enjoying it so far, and we'll see what happens, because I think the top thing, it says if we could issue a reading list to 10 Downing Street, I'd put this book near the top. That's from The Guardian, but I have a list of like 4 or 5 books myself. I'm like, everyone not should and has to read them, but these books changed my life and my perspective so dramatically from such a unexpected perspective that I would love to just share. So I'm excited to see where this goes, because I think it does have more sort of call to arms, as well as just explaining how loneliness is not just it can be a physical problem, and it's a bigger picture problem than we think, and it's very good. Anyway, I really hope you're like doing well, and if you're not, I hope that you have the energy to do something to help yourself feel better, or you can call upon someone to help you feel better. I hope that you do share with me something that you've made, if it's a good meal, for yourself, and if that is actually something you do after watching this, even better. Well, not even better, but that would be cool too. Yeah, and I hope that you do spend some time thinking about your little community and how you can welcome other people into it, and yeah, be excellent to each other and don't forget to love each other. I hope to see you again very, very soon. It should be next week. Your favourite Ricky Ecuadorian bird?
That I've seen.
Yeah.
I like those ones with the white sides, what are they called? Tufted duck.
Tufted duck.